Hello and welcome to the show Wicklow Good News with me, Jillian Godsil. Today my guest is very, very well known in Greystones. It's Paul Byrne, who is the man behind the Greystones Guide. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Thanking you, Jillian. How are you, kid?
I'm doing brilliantly. We're both talking before we went on recording how it's nice to talk about nice things. And this is what we're doing.
Well, I think, like as you said, I really do believe people are in a moment of, and they have to basically reflect a little bit. And that means from everything from cleaning the house, doing all those little jobs. But then also I think people are rethinking, what's important to them and what's valuable. And I think that happens during any kind of time of conflict or difficulty. People get stronger. They sort of realize that some things they've been doing are unnecessary or just not healthy for them. So I think a lot of good will come out of it.
I think too as well, I've been having conversations with friends, how we regard different jobs in our society. All of a sudden, now we know the doctors and nurses are very important, but so too are people stocking the shelves in the groceries. Who would have thought that we wouldn't have copped on? That's such an important job. People collecting the bins, often the lower paid members of society doing absolutely essential jobs.
Well, those who have been taken for granted, because it just is part of our everyday, and we just sort of get used to it in the same way that we can tragically get used to the people we live with, even that this is a wonderful thing that you have a community that will, basically support each other in different ways. And certainly a huge part of that support right now is being able to get our groceries or to have our, like our bins collected, or just feel that, that the life is going on. It's not a complete sort of Armageddon. So that's when you realize, of course, these people are, this is their job and this is what they do. And they've been, kind of helping us in different ways forever. So yeah, it's great when people recognize that. We actually are launching now, we do it every year, is just people in Greystones voting for their favorite shop person, like person who is sort of, they feel has gone above and beyond the call of duty. And it can be a whole shop or it can be a one member of staff, and it's just a good time to recognize these are people who are, of course it's a job, but it's also, a lot of them would sort of see it as genuinely they are part of your day. They want to help you and make sure that you walk out there happier than when you walked in.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. And normally, of course, the Greystones Guide would have lots of gigs and events. They're pretty much, those congregations are stopped. So what type of events are you still featuring?
Well, it's funny. I mean, I thought, well, it'll be quiet. Now I do an hour or two a day, but I'm sort of starting at 8 or 9 o'clock and I'm not finished till 7 or 8 every night. There's always, it's fundraising ideas. There's a lot of online activity. You're trying to publicize, when people are reopening, like, bear paw, different, delicatessens and restaurants, and hopefully gradually more and more shops. You just want to make sure that people know this is what's out there available to them. So we try to do that every single day, and we update every day what the various different options are. And then you're linking a lot to people's, online activity. There might be yoga classes or lots of good stuff. And I think people are, recognizing not only is it wise to just sort of use your skills at this time and help people who might be otherwise sitting at home 24 hours a day or 23 hours a day, but just it just sort of helps that sort of, I don't know, just that sense of course life will go on and things will get back to normal. And in the meantime, we should all just hunker down and help each other. And so I'm amazed how much activity there is out there, actually. It seems to be just as busy for me anyway, yeah.
And I suppose we're moving on to the sort of the second phase. The first phase with the lockdown was to stop the surge, to protect the hospitals and the people, the doctors and nurses. And that seems to be relatively effective. And of course, the next stage that we're starting to realize about is, well, there are businesses that are, how are they going to survive? How are they going to reinvent themselves? How are they going to tell people, well, actually, we can sell you this way, or we can provide you a service that way? So you're doing a really important job in Greystones with local businesses. You're helping them tell people if they're open or how they're open or how people can avail of their services. Tell me a bit about that.
Well, yeah, I think we've always tried to sort of say to people, that idea that, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. So even when it comes to smaller shops during, boom times, there would always be that feeling that naturally people are quite quick to buy online, and it's quite easy. You get exactly a huge range and you get to see what you want, and it's private, and all those sort of good things. But there is definitely a need, and I think people are recognizing it now more than ever, to just support those who in your neighborhood have decided, well, I'm going to try and sell shoes, or I'm going to open up a beautiful venue and bring in all sorts of acts from all over Ireland and beyond. That idea that if you don't support it, it just isn't there. There's unfortunately, I think social media has bred a certain amount of clicktivism, where people will click a like on something or respond online, but a tiny percentage of those will actually go out and be involved in what they've just said is a wonderful thing. And I don't, it's not like everybody has to be running around doing lots of volunteer work and buying everything in the town, but it does make you recognize at a time like this, you do have to support, if you can, the people that are around you, your neighbors who have decided to become a painter or a baker or whatever. And if they don't have what you like, fine. Well, then, you go further and you get it somewhere else. But that idea that you would first look around your own neighborhood to see, can I get that here? And if it costs €1 more, whatever, that's fine. I think the actual effect of it is huge on those who live in your town.
So the message is very strongly shop local, support local.
Yeah, and it's a boring cliche of a kind of a mantra, but it is blatantly obvious that if you know somebody who's a plumber, get them in to do your plumbing rather than look up online and find somebody from a million miles away.
Or something.
Yeah, it just seems and you make your choices. You absolutely, if you like what they do, then you continue. If you don't, if it doesn't fit, that's fine. If it doesn't fit, you can obviously move on. But it's just giving that person a chance to just sort of have the business, because we do have to do a certain amount of everyday things, and we will spend money, and it might as well be going back inside the people who live here in the community.
And I suppose too as well, I certainly find, because I'm not commuting anymore, I'm at home, and I do live in the very beautiful village of Coolboy, very, very rural, but I'm seeing things that I never saw, because before I wasn't stopping, and I'm talking to my neighbours, and now there's only a pub and a shop in the village, so I can't frequent the pub, sadly. I do frequent the shop, but I imagine if people are walking in around Greystones, they're going to say, oh, there's a bakery. I never knew there was a bakery there, or there's a clothes shop there. Yeah. Things that you'd be so busy rushing into town, into Dublin or online, you wouldn't see the local businesses.
Yeah, and it's funny with Greystones, we have been very lucky in that, generally speaking, Greystones has done very well, and the amount of people who come in from out of town just to visit at the weekend especially is quite phenomenal. And therefore, you got a lot of coffee shops, which we make a joke about, but I think there's like 28 places on the main street that you can get coffee. But there's also obviously those people who have decided this is their skill and this is what they want to do with that skill, and they open up a small shop. And I think we're luckier than most in that our main street has been generally active and generally kind of well supported. But definitely, I think people will realize now just how precarious that life is. It's expensive to have in a shop or to open any kind of business, especially on a main street. And that will be brought home for a lot of people now. And the hope is, as I said, that you just look around, and if hopefully you find something that fits, you should buy it here rather than just click good old Jeff Bezos and add a few more to his billions.
I agree with you there. Tell me, what's the quirkiest story you've been covering so far?
I don't know. It always amazes me. There's always kind of just wonderful sort of individuals like Mary Hackett. Now she co-founded Open Door in Bray, which has been a huge kind of refuge for people who are, for many, many years, people who just need that sort of support group. And she herself is doing 100 laps of her own garden, even though she's in her 80s. There's all these sort of little inspirational kind of moments where you just go boom, and then you find stuff like somebody just sent me old Lautrec's nightclub in Greystones, long gone, but it was one of the greatest nightclubs in the world, and some of their theme nights, they just send me cards from it, and they're hilarious. Sort of Chippendale Mr. Mail competitions from 1992, or just things just keep never kind of fail to surprise me that there's something else in the jigsaw that I didn't know about.
My apologies on the video and to listeners. I'm knocking mics and lamps over.
Oh, there you go. You're drinking early today, I tell you.
I know. I was going to say the perils of live, but I can't edit it, so it's going to stay in.
There you go. You see, it's a completely natural thing. I'm two things. I can't edit. I don't really get into that side of it. I just feel it's much more honest if you goof up or you don't remember the name of somebody, or I think that's much more honest than slickly edited video, which is just highlights. And
we have a nice lamp falling down and knocking the mic over. And I look much better with the lamp on top. I definitely do. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's a great story. We're hoping to interview Mary actually on Good News too as well, because it's just, again, do you know what's interesting too about her story? And like my mom is 90 and she's doing amazing, she's living by herself in Dublin, but she's doing amazingly well. But I think a lot of people over 70 reacted to the thought that they might be cocooned because they were old. Do you know that that sort of sex idea? And I mean, of course, it's for their own safety, and we recognize medically that they might be more vulnerable, but they don't want to be written off. 70 is young.
Sure. Man, well, I mean, I'm in my 50s. I just sort of realized that I don't, I think we're always a kid, really, because, we worry about what people might think. And, there's all these different, you want treats, you want a warm bed, you want, all these kind of things. That never fades. So the idea that, your physical age would suddenly rob you of these, feelings or these desires or this want to just have fun and to, friends, all those good things. I think that's, that's definitely true. Because thankfully, people are much, much healthier for much, much longer in their lives, and they're very active, 70s, 80s and all that. I've taken photographs now of a gentleman yesterday now, and he's in his 80s, Liam, and he looks great, and he was out, doing a photograph on the road. He'll be up later on the guide. And just, there's again, there's just people who are, just sort of defying that old notion that your life should end at any point, really, other than you decide, I'd like to just sit down now and not get back up.
Well, I think it is. Yeah. It's a good thing to do, because even doing the same way. Conversely, children are seen as vectors. So people run away from kids in supermarkets and stuff like that. So we maybe need to fix these sort of notions that we've developed.
Yeah, but I think everybody is generally, has got a desire to be happy and a desire to be liked and all those good things. And of course, there will be individuals who, for whatever reason, kind of go against that grain and they just become troubled, or they just generally aggravate. You can see it a lot on social media. There's sort of anger issues going on, just mild, but they're there. And the hope is that, as I said, in a time like this, where you just reflect, that you have lots of time, you're just in this sort of, limbo, that you just sort of recognize the things that maybe are not making you happy ultimately, or things that are unhealthy, not just physically, but mentally, that they're just sort of taking you out of being happy and enjoying life. And yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for this moment of kind of, it's crazy really that we're all just sitting at home for a month and more, maybe. I would think that hopefully a lot of good will come out of that. Yeah.
There's quite a dichotomy in society, though, isn't there? There's the people, the frontline workers, the healthcare workers, who have never worked harder in their entire lives, and then the rest of us who are at home. And it's people with very different memories of this time, won't they? You're either the exhausted healthcare worker, or you're the person home going, have I had my aha moment yet? Have I suddenly had this serenity arrive, and I'm at one with myself?
It's a funny one, because the uncertainty, I think, is definitely, it gives people a little bit of vertigo. They're just not quite sure what to think or how it's all going to play out. And in a way, the frontline workers, it's almost like they've gone to war and they're over there somewhere fighting the enemy, and the enemy being, COVID-19, that the unknown element to it, we are calm, and there isn't that sense that we're in like huge immediate danger. But it's a very strange thing to have like an unseen enemy lurking, and not knowing when this will end and how it will end, and what life would be like in 2 months, 6 months. It definitely would play, I think, a little bit into, the kind of, that uncertainty plays into a certain destabilization of people's mental health and all that. So that's why I think it's so important to recognize all the good things and to concentrate on just being, better in yourself, having, a better home or a better life, whatever it takes, just to sort of enjoy what you have around you and kind of regroup. And I feel like I should start singing now, but I don't.
Get the guitar out.
There you go.
No, that's super. So if people want to feel better, hear good things, support their local Greystones business, it's Greystones and area surrounding.
Yeah, like we do like Newcastle, Dalgany, all around here. It's a huge kind of a circle and a lot of people. But yeah, that's just that idea. I think everyone sort of knows too that it's the reward system in life. You do a little job in the day that you've been meaning to do, whether it's paint a wall or fix a shelf or whatever, and it feels great. And life is the reward thing. No matter how poor or wealthy you are, there's that feeling that you did something good today, and it's the day is better than when you got out of bed this morning. And that can just be one thing. It could be 5 things. And I think that's the key to it, is just to be active in making your life that little bit better, making your surroundings that little bit better, and definitely enjoy it. Like, not to feel that now you're in some kind of penance or you have to be super fit, or you have to turn into the Flynn twins to, you know, be justified. I think it's all about, just little things. Little things will make a huge difference over time.
Yeah, no, I like. So again, if people want to find out what's happening, and it's not just gigs now, it's lots of things. It's business.
Oh yeah, it's always been. Yeah, the gigs are
stories.
just sort of one part of it. Yeah, there's interviews all the time, and we have huge archives with thousands of photographs archiving, you know, Delgany and Greystones and Newcastle and Kilcool and all the surrounding areas. It's kind of built up over 7 or 8 years now. The hope is it's some kind of record. I have a 10-year sort of plan in my head to do this for 10 years. Content is up there every single day, and that's a lot of content over 7, 8
Wow.
years. And the idea is that there'll be some kind of representation of this was us at this point in history. And so, yeah, really enjoyable. A little bit of hard work, but that's the reward is great. You feel that you're doing something genuinely useful, hopefully, at the end of the day.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Paul. Very interesting as always to chat with you, and nice to get an insight into, do something, be kind to yourself.
Yeah, and well done with the idea of Wicklow Good News. It's a lovely idea because, I look around and you're sort of keeping up with stories, and it's so easy to go tabloid on at a time like this, and people are just trying to get the clickbait likes, and they're sort of coming up with slightly exclamation mark kind of stories that don't really do any good and don't really help the situation. So yeah, the good news thing, without denying the reality, it's just a good thing to emphasize that.
Well, I often say that we started this, Marlena Murphy, my producer, and myself, to literally try to spread good news. That's what we did.
Yeah.
And we both find, and I'm speaking for myself in particular, the benefit to myself is huge. It gives me purpose and joy. And who'd have thought? I'm just doing it. I wanted to help others. And then all of a sudden I'm going, this has helped my mental sanity. It's helped my purpose. So
I'm sure one of the wise old, religious leaders or Tibetan leaders or whatever would have said, the idea that, the real gift is when you give to other people and all that, helping somebody else just makes that day feel lighter. And like you love giving. I love giving presents as opposed to getting them. It's all that sort of feeling of course, if you can just help somebody, that's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Well, so thank you so much for your time today. It's been brilliant. We will chat again soon, I'm sure.
You don't want to finish with a duet? No, we could do We Are the World or something, no? Or you don't feel like singing?
A little drop of dew. That's my duet.
There you go.
That's a Girl Guide song. And then, little drop of dew. Do you not know that one, Paul?
I don't think I do. No, I'll have to look that one up.
It's a sounds
very dangerous to me.
We'll practice a duet for next time.
That's it.
That's the plan. We'll plan something. Well, thank you very much again, Paul. That's listening to Paul Byrne from Greystones Guide, and thank you to Marlena Murphy producing and Gavin Dowd on sound. That's all from Wicklow Good News for this week. Be good, be safe, and keep on helping others.